This presentation will be a biomechanical analysis for improving technique through efficiency utilizing the Cal Strength method for power clean progressions. The power clean is an effective dynamic weightlifting technique utilized to increase both bar velocity and the simultaneous dropping or squatting of the athlete to get underneath the load being lifted. This allows the athlete to generate optimal static equilibrium with the bar following the production of maximal vertical mechanical work squatting up from the front rack position. The power clean differentiates from other training methods by introducing a dynamic sequence beginning from the floor position to end in a shoulder catch or the front rack position. These sequences cause the athlete to manipulate their body for maximal vertical power displacement, utilizing their rear chain to complete the lift, in better part to develop leg strength and explosive power. Some of the equations commonly used in quantitative measures are listed here. Power is defined as the rate of doing work and is expressed as the product of force times velocity. Power is the ability to produce strength in the shortest and most efficient amount of time. For this particular case study, the athlete being observed is a 21-year-old hockey player with a need to develop explosive and powerful movements in order to deliver powerful hits as well as possess breakaway speed in order to chase down opponents. Tensile forces originate from the internal pulling of the bar to an explosive movement. The objective is to generate greater force in the bar than that of gravity to move the bar in a vertical motion quickly enough to move the bar and its weight from below the knees of the athlete to a resting or catch position on the shoulders. Static equilibrium is achieved once the bar is caught in the final phase of the lift and rests on the shoulders. Linear motion is achieved since the bar is moving in the same direction, distance, and at the same rate as the rest of the points on the body. From this slide, you can see theoretically optimal technique for the power clean, beginning from the floor position, transitioning through a linear motion. If you look on the far right, you can see the line drawn that the bar should travel as it goes through the lift. We will next explore some of the common errors found in this lift. Common errors are obvious in newly trained individuals, while less evident in the elite performers of the power clean. Errors affecting performance will still occur. Not all athletes will demonstrate the same technique, therefore it is up to the coach's eye to delineate detrimental form from those of individual preference. The following sequences will transition the Cal Strength method from top down into a mirrored coaching technique, which allows the athlete to develop motor skills while visually observing form in real time. We begin with the front rack position as shown here to allow the athlete to become comfortable in this position. This creates a feeling of enough stability in order to drive out from the deep front squat during the final phase of the power clean. Once the front rack has been established, we begin by teaching the reverse order of the power clean beginning with position 1. In position 1 as shown here, the athlete bends at the hips and knees in an upright position, holding the bar at hip width and upper thigh height. Position 1, you got that nice wide grip, you got a good base in your stance, your chest is back, your shoulder blades are retracted, you're sliding your back down the wall, pushing the bar down your thighs, and just going a little bit past your hip, so about mid-thigh, you're resting there, making sure the knees are coming forward a little bit, you over your toes slightly. Once position 1 has been thoroughly introduced, the athlete will go through the repetitions a couple times just to develop the motor skill, and then we will progress into position 2. Next, position 2, the athlete pushes the knees back while maintaining the tensile contraction created in the original position 1 by pushing their knees to the back of the room, maintaining a flat back while lowering the bar just past the knees. These two phases together represent the transition or scoop phase of the power clean and teach the athlete to move their knees out of the path of the bar instead of lifting in front of the knees and away from the body, all the while maintaining adequate power and hip drive. Position 2.
The final phase, or the third phase, is where the athlete will lower the bar towards the ground, bringing their knees back to the forward position while maintaining heel contact with the ground. This final phase is the preparatory position to begin the actual power clean and allows the athlete to feel the tension created through the bar while sitting back on their heels. This power comes from active muscles, which is why the third phase is so critical to instill active control of the bar instead of starting from a relaxed position. Once all three positions have been taught thoroughly, the coach will challenge the athlete to find proper positioning through a speed round, calling out each position and demonstrating for a more realistic pace. The objective is to allow the athlete to find the correct positions through a confused and stressed state, transitioning from each phase utilizing proper form while maintaining the bar close to the body and the legs. This creates an almost perfect motor memory of each position, phase, and form for the power clean itself.
So now, you got to feel for it, you see it in the mirror, you're going to put the dowel down, and we're going to upgrade to the bar.
The next step is to progress the athlete from an unloaded dowel to a 20 kilogram training bar for the proper feel of weight and gravity throughout each of the three phases. Additionally, at this stage, the coach will now introduce the phases of the power clean and their relationship to the three positions previously taught throughout the cal strength progressions into an actual power clean movement.
Come through that first pull, now you've got to get a scoop, which is pushing the knees back, getting the bar over the knees, bringing the knees back through. From that scoop, it's called the transition into the second pull because you're starting to get tall and long. That's the second pull because you're pulling the bar up towards your chest, and this is where that explosiveness and that movement comes from. Again, you practice. So first pull, transition, scoop.
Throughout this initial learning phase with an unloaded training bar, the textbook explains that while errors will occur in beginners, they will not make the same mistakes from trial to trial. And as long as safety and performance are not affected, the coach can ignore these basic errors, which will be cleaned up once weight and gravity affect the bar.
Explode, get that quick, alright? The first pull is basically your setup, your proprioceptive knee to get everything to feel, alright, I'm going. But you don't want to move the bar around your body moves around the bar. The bar should be staying in a straight line all the way up here. So you're creating that kinetic energy, moving that bar, moving that energy, and then catching it and harnessing it, using that stability force, using all of your traction, your shoes, everything.
Once the athlete has an understanding of the basic concepts of the lift, then we begin to take them through the actual phase progressions as we did with the dowel, but in this second phase, we actually correct the athlete through movement, touching, and feeling, instead of just having them mirror the coach. The coach will actually put them in the proper position so that they can actually feel the right position that they need to be in.
Good. Now go to position 2. Push those knees back, knees forward. Good. Back up to position 1. Nice tall chest. Good. Hold that tension. Back to position 2. Down low to position 3. Get low. Good. Keep tension on that bar. You always want to have those arms tight. Because if you do this is the starting position. If you have no tension on that bar, your first pull, you're going to hear a snap, and you're going to feel that little jerk, and that's losing power. You want it to be smooth and seamless as you go through that. So get tall. The reason you kind of came forward a little bit is because you came from here, you went, and then you caught it. If you get that big, tall separation, your shoulders go back. You're still keeping that nice straight line with your body and the bar, but I want you to pull back, get up on those toes, because that backwards velocity is going to generate upward force on that bar to get that power and strength developed. You're in full extension. As you're getting that full extension, you're creating maximum power through one leg. This leg is controlling, this leg is exerting power. Alright, when you see sprinters in the blocks, they're down here. Their first step is a big drive and full extension in that back leg. That power is creating that acceleration to get them going. That leg that's back, all it's doing is coming through quick. It's not creating power. Power is coming from that down dominant leg. So that's why they put their power leg first. Their
The previous slide is one method to transfer the learning of a new lifting technique into practical sport application. This method allows the athlete to develop a better understanding not only for the reasons the lift is prescribed, but also to better activate neuromuscular connections through visualization of the processes themselves. Next, the coach progresses to the final stage of the teaching with an intermediate level of weight due to the athletic nature of the subject. Additionally, we will allow the athlete to create their own final technique for the power clean based on previous knowledge of the cow strength positions and phases without a visual demonstration in order to create greater learning through exploration as well as trial and error.
Pulling, slow, explode. Do 4 reps on your own, remembering the position, starting in position 3. Now that you've got that perfect bar height, before the bar was on the ground, it was a little bit tricky, but now you've got the bumper plates on there, you've got that perfect bar height. Get set, get that chest up, those hips down nice and low. You should be rocking back on your heels. Then you pull the bar to keep you stabilized, all right? That bar should pull you forward a little bit, because if you're leaning forward, it's going to cause you to lean back with that pull, and the bar is going to go straight up. It's a counterbalance effect. If you start ahead of the bar, it makes you pull back on the bar goes straight up.
Next, we will observe the athlete through a couple of repetitions with minimal but specific feedback on the technique thus far.
Good. Go for a little bit more extension, but that was good. Good technique, good hit through, good power drive, slow to fast. Sink it in, tighten it up. Ha! 2 more. Okay, on that one.
In the evaluation of the athlete, we watched replays of this video for a real-time observation of his own movements during his lifts, and we broke down the points from which he could improve upon to visually see what he felt during the lifts from a third-person view. In the next section of video, the coach will ask the athlete to demonstrate a couple of repetitions, followed by re-instruction of the previous technique.
Keep the bar close to the shins. So on that one, your deadlift was more like an RDL. Your hips came up first, and then your shoulders pulled, and that's why you kind of lean forward, because you created that forward momentum by driving your hips first. So once you get set here, as you drive up, bring those shoulders with you, create that bar speed straight up, vertical plane. Because if you start going from here, now the bar's angle is changing, I'm up on my toes, everything's going forward. You want to go in that backwards, create that counterbalance. Like I said, set up in front so you pull back. Sink it in, drop the hips. Hup. There it is. Okay, so that is going to be a comfort thing. You got to get comfortable with your squat. Okay, when you get stuck in the hole, this is where you got to get comfortable. You have to know that when you're here, you've got 2 options. Dump it like you did, or drive through it and explode. Okay? Part of the clean is once you get to a specific weight, there's going to be a shift from power to technique. Alright? You're only going to be as strong as your weakest link. If you have a weak squat, you're going to get stuck in that position. You're not going to be able to drive out. A lot of times when you watch Olympic lifters and they're doing their cleans, they sit in that hole. Boom. Okay. Boom. Explode, and then they do their jerk, whatever else they're doing. But you got to get comfortable in these awkward positions. And part of the clean, once the weight goes up past your power threshold and it becomes more technique, you're going to get stuck down in that hole because you have to get low under the bar. You can only shrug so much. The strongest man in the world can't shrug 500 pounds over his head. It's not going to happen. So that's where that technique and that power, that initial power, is going to be a little bit quicker. It's not going to be, okay, I'm thinking about it, boom. It's going to be, all right, let's get this moving, and then explode all the way through. It's very quick, but it's still a slow to quick progression. Okay? 2 more. Tension. Pop!
In conclusion, the power clean introduced through the Cal strength progressions is a functional lift for explosive power, leg strength, and practical speed development. Other methods, as research has shown in basic squatting techniques, elicit reduced power output and take longer periodizations to develop the same explosive power found in the power clean. This was a first-time performer of the power clean developed in a single 30-minute session from beginning to end. The power clean can be an effective and useful tool when progressed for the optimal needs of the athlete, ranging from explosive power to dynamic strength development. This concludes this presentation of a quantitative power clean biomechanical analysis.